When a person is eating of the knowledge of the tree of good and evil before their time, because it's not that the I am does not want us to perceive what is evil for your experience, for your life, for your goals, for your mental health, for your whatever it is that is a part of the abundant life that has been paid for you. And then the opposite would be true. If you know, because that's what balance and duality, that's what harmony brings us into. It's if I know that's not good for me, if I know that's not what I want, now I know more of what I do want. Now I know more of what is good for me. It's the contrast that happens in the waiting, when you're incubating, right? When that which you are desiring to birth forth into manifestation, that which creation is yearning and groaning and desiring and contrasting and holding the space for, all of how creation is lining up with you has to do with you stepping into your identity, the positioning, the place to birth said thing. So then when the I am told them not to eat of that tree, it's because they were still in a child's way of being. When you're in a child's way of being, you think like a child, you do things like a child. Like literally, physically, when we're looking at a child and how a child will respond to something, how a child will react to something. But then in the physical, when we're looking at a person in an adult body, but then they're still reacting and thinking and moving, etc., 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 as if they were in a child's body, then that person should not be trying to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because your mindset hasn't developed in a way where you can dimensionally perceive and kind of digest, enough other perspectives and paradigms for you to have a mature outlook, for you to have a mature reaction, etc., etc., etc. And because creation is always desiring to cause the manifestation of the desires of your heart, and what you say, your speech is directly connected to that. Life and death is in the power of your tongue. And then what you think is also directly connected to that. Because as a person thinks, so are they. And so there's this beautiful harmony, this universe. It's one song, it's many verses, it's a chord of 3 that is not easily broken. You've heard different chords and melodies. That's all that is transpiring. You've heard different chords and melodies. It's all a universe. So you want to join in with the chord of 3 that is not easily broken. It is the Father, Son, and Spirit. It is the unity. It is the Christ Godhead. It's the Christ consciousness. It's pursuing the identity of Christ, in that you are trying to imitate and mirror the character of the one Yeshua, the Christ that we perceive in the book. And one of the easiest ways to do that is kind of like how we see today. You have haters today, and when your hater talks enough hate about you, now if they're dealing with a child mind, then you don't care anyway. It's like a little kid being like, you're ugly. I mean, you're gonna laugh. I mean, you might be like, you're a little kid. And, that quote unquote insult is equally, measured as you're ugly, because it's coming from a little kid's mind, as opposed to a grown physical body person that is still in a place of a little kid's mind. That would be like you being out and an adult yells, "Hey, stupid," and you turn around. If they say, "Hey, gorgeous," then, maybe you will. But all that to say, your haters will eventually prove your truth for you, and then those that were listening will then be able to get a better understanding of who you authentically are. The way the Pharisaical energies came at Jesus and he kept doing what he was doing, eventually people who were maturing in their minds were able to realize, people who were maturing in their minds were able to realize that, oh wow, you got to be doing something right. If Yeshua the Christ was, so demonized, then why were they still listening to him, watching him? Man, lust is a hell of a drug. Lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, the pride that causes a person to fall in their life. All happens because they're trying to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil before time. You can't measure how many apples are going to be on the apple tree from the one apple seed that you have planted. You can't awaken love before it's time. And so all that to say, when it is time, I love how Apostle Paul talks about this in Galatians 4. He talks about how a person can be in this mental place, right? This state of mind, which creates our state of being, because you are only as good as your ability to habitually think, in combination with the mind of God, which is under the Christ mantle. And so, but man, if your mind is too conformed to this world, then, everything is going to be evil to you. And so when your mind frame is still subject to these false gods, these false rulers, these ones who want to be superior over your experience because they realize they wasted their own. Apostle Paul, he even says how, you realize that these people were never gods to begin with. And he's like, I fear for you that somehow I've wasted my time on you. All this time I've been trying to show you the Christ way, trying to remind you to be an imitator of the identity, knowing that you are one with the I am, that there is no separation. God and you and God. And so this is what happens when God opens your eyes. Because remember, the I am kind of said, we got to kind of work this out or they'll be like us. Because the whole point was to have the experience of developing in your mind to see if you can get back to your God mind. Repenting is this constant choice to change your mind. I am RealElectraBe, and these are messages from my heart.